Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Anime, and welcome to another My Hero Academia, Boku no Hero Academia review. This time I will be reviewing episode 28, or season 2, episode 15, I believe it is. So, what did I think about this episode? It was another really good episode. It was a very interesting episode. There were a lot of scenes that just gave me almost chills, a lot of really chilling, unnerving scenes, and this was an episode that left a lot more to be desired, which is always a good thing in the overall plot line, with the All Might scene especially, because clearly there's a guy out there that can give quirks to other people, and that in itself is a terrifying quirk. And just kind of based off logic, because again, I have not read the manga, I feel like that guy is either the leader that we've heard talking to Shigaraki and Kurogiri in the bar area a few times, or maybe it's another person in the League of Villains. It has to be someone in the League of Villains, though, because Nomu was, came in the League of Villains. So that I thought was very interesting, and clearly All Might knows who this person is, and he gets so angry that he actually goes into his hero form. Like, that's how angry he gets. That was an awesome scene. And then the ending there with Stain showing up and Ida confronting Stain, and just a fantastic scene, a perfect setup for next episode where we're really going to focus on the fight. Hosu City is under attack by these disgusting looking Nomu guys. Nomu looked more like legit. He looked more whole than anything, but these guys have like all deformities and stuff, really gross, and I'll get to that. I like to stay on a linear path. So the episode, but overall, really like the episode. Please leave all your thoughts down below, and I will, love to hear what you guys say, and I will talk to you down below. So we start off again with the training regime between Gran Torino and Midoriya, and during this, Gran Torino's basically saying to Midoriya, you have to keep your form for 3 minutes, or you have to land an attack on me in the next 3 minutes. And while this is going on, you're really rooting for Midoriya to land an attack. They did that scene really well. You really want him to succeed in this situation, just to, prove himself and prove to Gran Torino and prove to you as a viewer that he is really moving up. And even though he doesn't land a hit per se, he kind of grazes Gran Torino's cheek, which we see at the very end when Gran Torino has a cut on his cheek, and there's no other thing that he would have gotten that from unless he, ran into the wall, but he obviously didn't. I mean, moving at high speeds is literally his quirk, and I thought that was really well done, and it shows the intelligence of Midoriya, and I feel like that's always something that sometimes gets overlooked, how smart this guy is to go under the couch, and even though clearly that's not going to be a suitable way to protect yourself, that's not what he was aiming for. He throws the couch up at Gran Torino, he stalls him for a bit, he recognizes the pattern, and he's able to catch him when he's behind him, and I thought that sequence was really, really well done. Now, another really awesome moment from this is when Midoriya is thinking to himself, and Gran Torino says to him, like, man, you really, overanalyze these things, don't you? And then Gran Torino thinks to himself, and he's like, this guy can be an absolute monster, because the intelligence is already there. We see it, Gran Torino sees it, and once he can understand this quirk, and once he can utilize this quirk to its potential, I completely agree. Midoriya is going to be, hopefully, an absolute monster, and that is going to be an awesome thought to, again, think of someone who, was blessed. Of course, he was quirkless, but he was blessed by All Might, but just to see his progression and what his potential holds, as Gran Torino states here, is an awesome prospect, and I really am looking forward to seeing him develop even further and enhance these skills even further going forward. We get some cutscenes with, there was a great scene with Bakugo. He gets his hair cut by the by the best genist hero, and that, again, those whole scenes are awesome. Uraraka's training in this dojo with, like, 3 other huge guys, and she's just, I love her. Her determination is great, and that was a funny scene. We don't see many, we see pretty much the same people that we saw from the last episode. We see the 2 guys with the steel quirk, Hiroshima, and I forget the other one, and then we see Momo and the one with the huge fist, the from Class 1B, training with the beauty model, the girl with the snakes in her hair. So those were pretty much the only other heroes we saw, and then we do get some really, really awesome All Might. He's talking to that police officer. I believe it's the police officer from episode 12 or 13, towards the end of season 1. I remember there was a police officer that All Might said he was best friends with, he trusted with practically everything, when Midoriya was like, wait, how many people actually know about your quirk? There was some kind of humorous scene about that. So we see this officer again, And because All Might's not in the investigation, he's leaking the information to All Might, which obviously, who wouldn't? If I was a police officer, I'd probably do the same thing. I mean, the guy is All Might. And he talks about how Nomu, after DNA tests, used to be this one random villain, just a random, really no-name villain with misdemeanor, like theft crimes or petty theft or something like that. And he's like, this guy's got 4 quirks in him, and there's no way that anyone has the technology to do that. There's got to be someone with a quirk that can give other people quirks. And All Might's face turns to horror, and he becomes so enraged that he goes into his hero form, and he's like, is that guy moving again? So I don't know what the hell's going on there. I imagine maybe someone was put in a very high security prison, or maybe All Might beat the senseless hell out of someone, and someone who was this dangerous, who he feuded with in his past. I don't know, and it has to be, I think it's the main guy on the League of Villains, because it has to be someone on the League of Villains that created Nomu, that's feeding information to Shigaraki and Kurogiri in the bar. So I am just very, very excited to find out who this guy is, to find out the past that All Might has had with him, and to have a guy to have a villain that has a quirk that gives other quirks to other people is actually terrifying, and that's why you have Nomu, who was this absolute beast that drove All Might, that pushed him to the edge, really. All Might did prevail, but that was in a very intense fight, so that was a chilling scene. And then right after that scene, it's no coincidence that we get a scene of the villains in the bar, and we learn a little bit about Stain's quirk twice in this episode. At the end, when he had the pro hero in the alleyway, and he had Kurogiri behind the bar, the teleporting dude, they couldn't move. Now, I don't know if it's maybe similar to Eraserhead, where Stain can look at someone, and if he looks at them until he blinks, they're paralyzed, where Eraserhead erases their quirk. I don't know if there's another need for... I don't know if there's another, like, prerequisite that he has to have to paralyze these people. I guess we're going to find out about that, but clearly his quirk is paralysis to some degree. And, you know, it's interesting because when they first showed Stain, I thought that he was just this kind of incompetent dude going around killing people. But what I kind of grew to like him a little bit, even though I usually don't like villains in this episode, because his reasonings weren't all that bad. And even Shigaraki says it when they go to Hosu, that or I think it's Kurogiri that says it, that the cities that he kills heroes in, or he paralyzes heroes in, the crime rate drops. And he's doing it because he feels heroes, most of them, or maybe he thinks all of them, are just in it for the money and they're not in it for true purpose. And I don't know, his motivations weren't, I thought, that horrible for a villain. They were kind of more valiant for a villain. And you even see him show kind of mercy for Ida, who runs at him, and he tells Ida to leave instead of just senselessly killing him. So I gained a little more respect for Stain. I still think he's a creep, and I can't wait for this fight in the next episode that they hyped up in the preview. But this episode did a lot for his character that I thought worked. And Shigaraki just obliterates, and we know his quirk is decay, obliterates Stain's sword. Stain was about to kill him, or would he have killed him, because Stain then says, I only did that to find out your true motives. People talk about their true desires when they're on the fence of death. And so they move on, and Shigaraki doesn't like Stain. We learn that when Stain runs off after they all go to Hosu, and he sends 3 Nomu-looking guys. He says, bring out the Nomus. And these are 3 deformed-looking, just falcon beasts. One has... I mean, they were really gross, and I wonder, because they have these deformities, they're not going to be as strong as Nomu. That would make sense. The original Nomu from, the training arc gone wrong. Because if they are, All Might barely beat them. Eraserhead had no chance, and he's a very good pro hero. So it would be kind of unrealistic for them to deal with. But then again, there's a lot of heroes around, and I guess you could get like multiple heroes to team up. I don't really know, but at the end, Ida, the guy he's working with, knows that Ida is only there because he's trying to chase down Stain. And he says, look, you can't let your personal feelings get in the way of being a hero. Ida doesn't really listen to that. He runs down an alley at the very end of this episode, and he finds Stain about to kill, I think, Pro Hero Native, who we just got introduced to. About to kill him, I guess about to slice open his throat. Ida runs at him, Stain hears him, throws him to the ground. Stain tells him to get the hell out of the area, and Ida then has a great speech where he's like, remember this name, Ingenium. This is going to be the guy who kills you, or I don't know if he says something that brutal, but he says this is going to be the hero that takes you down, which is his brother's name, and that was a phenomenally done scene. And then Stain just looks at him and says, all right, die, and that's how the episode ends, and a great way to end the episode. We know Gran Torino left the train to take down one of the Nomus, so he's in Hosu. Midoriya is going to get off the train based on the preview, and he's going to find Ida, because we see in the preview, Ida looks like he's in a bad way. He's in a puddle of blood on the floor, and Midoriya is by Ida. So I am very excited to see those two verse Stain. I'm making an educated guess here, and obviously if you've read the manga, you know if I'm right or completely wrong. But based on the opening visuals, I would guess that Todoroki joins this fight, because he seems to be the main focus of the opening along with Ida and Midoriya. There's a scene where him and Midoriya are both looking at Ida before Ida, has the brother in his eye. And then there's another scene right after we see Stain. The first character they show is Todoroki in what looks like an alleyway similar to where they are at the end of this episode and where they will be most likely in the next episode, episode 29. And then they show Ida, and then they show Midoriya. So based on the opening visuals, I would guess that maybe Todoroki is going to join this fight, which would be incredible if he does. But that's just an educated guess. Again, I have no idea. If you guys want to let me know if I'm right or wrong, just put spoilers and tab down a bit. But anyway, guys, leave me all your thoughts down below. I really did enjoy this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Until next time, thank you for watching. Have an amazing day.